Hi folks, Jessica here with Yaymaker, and today we're going to be talking about grouting our mosaic sun plaques or any other of our mosaic projects that we do here at Yaymaker. So let's get started. All right, so when you are finished tiling your piece, this one's not quite done yet, but I'm going to use this section as an example. When this is all finished being tiled, you're going to let the glue dry, and then you can go ahead and start grouting. Now your grouting process is going to start with your dry grout here. You're going to need a few items to assist you with your grouting process. So you're going to want some kind of disposable container, like a bowl or a cup or something like this. A glove is helpful, and some kind of disposable mixing utensil. I just had a knife on hand, so that's what I used. All right, so you're going to go ahead and open up your grout, and that is double bagged. So you're going to open up the outside bag. You're going to get to this inside piece here, and I'm just going to snip the edge there. Okay, and we can start pouring this. Now, I'm not grouting a project right now that's completed, so I'm not going to use all of it, but you can go ahead and use all of it. So what you're going to do is put your dry grout in your disposable container. I'm making a very tiny amount right now because I don't want to waste it, but you'll get the idea here. You know, I'll put a little bit more. Now, sometimes I like to leave a little bit extra in the bag. If you don't have huge spaces in between your tiles, you might not actually need all the grout. There's going to be extra grout pretty much regardless. So I always leave a tiny bit in the bag just in case I over mix this and add too much water to it. Then I can always have a little bit of backup powder to add back into it. So you're going to go ahead and put your grout in your container. You can use the whole bag, leave a small bit for backup. And we're going to add a tiny bit of water to start. Sorry about the dogs. All right, we're going to add a tiny bit of water to start. And what we want to do is just go ahead and start mixing that up. Now at first, you're going to get a very crumbly mix. Okay, so we don't want to see any of these crumbles. We want to have a nice smooth consistency. We're going for the consistency of like peanut butter. It doesn't have to be specifically like one consistency or another. We're looking for a smooth consistency throughout, but like this is way too crumbly. So if we go to put this on, it's gonna crumble all over. So we wanna go ahead and add a little bit more water. Now, once you get to this crumbly stage, it's really just tiny amounts of water added in there at a time. And I want this to look spreadable. I want it to look like if I put it on the bread, it's not gonna rip it up if it were peanut butter. All right, so we want it to be nice and spreadable. Okay, and it's hard to see here, but I've got it a little a nice consistency here, but I'm still kind of trudging through it and I'm having a hard time getting through. So I want just a tiny bit more water. Now, if I were to look at this, if you could spread it like this and get a smooth top, that's good. That's fine. I could leave it like this. I like it just a little bit smoother than that, but this is a fine consistency. So you have a play. It's not like it has to be exactly this, or exactly that. As long as it's not drippy and as long as it's not too crumbly, then you'll be good. Okay, so now I added that tiny bit more water, and now I'm getting a much smoother look. Okay, so now when I'm pulling it along, I have this really nice, smooth, creamy kind of grout. That's what I like to get on there, because when you smooth it over, you're gonna have that nice soft kind of finish. All right, so this is looking good. That's where I'm at. Looks like peanut butter consistency. All right, now once you have it mixed, that's the hardest part. You don't have to use a glove, but if you want to be a little not so messy, you can go ahead and put on a glove. And to put your grout into your piece, again, this one's not completed yet, so you want to make sure your tiling is all completed. But you're going to take a little scoop of your grout. You can use your hand there. go ahead and press into the tiles, and we're looking to kind of put it on and smush it in. So we're putting it on and then swiping it, and we're pressing into all the crevices of the tiles. Okay, so this is gonna be very messy over the top, and we'll worry about cleaning all that later. All right, now normally I would just do the whole entire surface, but I'm just gonna do the small section over here that's ready to go. And you wanna just make sure you're getting into all the edges there. Now, what makes this a little bit challenging on the sun plaque is we have all of these side edges to work with. So you do want to make sure you're getting some of the grout over the edges and then pushing into the sides under the tiles. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just work your way around each of those flame tips. And we're just kind of scraping the excess grout off the top as we move. Okay, and we're just going to keep it going. Now, if you want, later on, if you want to take a toothpick and kind of run it down into the very edge here to get the grout out of the points, you can do that if you want. I don't usually do that, but if you want to be like a little more particular about it, that would be a good way to finish this up after you get it all on. So this is the basic bit here. We're going to just press this in, smooth it down. Okay. And after you have this kind of smoothed over, we are going to give it a wipe with a wet sponge or a wet paper towel over the top just to remove the excess, and then we're going to let it dry. Okay, so once you have something like this, you can take a wet sponge or a wet paper towel, okay, and just wipe down the top. This is going to help smoothen the grout into the crevices as well. And this is going to be a finish with like a milky consistency. See how it has that milky consistency? That is totally fine. Now, if there's lots of grout left over the top, that's also fine. But this is going to save you a little time on your next step. If you just take your wet sponge and just kind of run it over and smooth everything down. Make sure you have no air bubbles in between. All right, and this also helps you get any of that excess, grout. It'll help you smooth everything over. And then we leave that to dry. Okay, so I'm gonna put this off to the side, let that start to dry. And then we're gonna move on to the next step for you. So after that's dry, you're gonna have something like this. Okay, so once you have that all dried, you're gonna have a consistency like this. It might be a little less, this one I didn't actually wipe down, so I'm gonna have to work a little harder to clean this one off. This one I wiped a little bit more, so I have more space. So I'll show you that there. So for these, this is our final step in the grouting. You'll want to take your, like a scrubby sponge like this, or just the back of a regular sponge. And you're gonna go ahead and dip that in some water. And you're just going to scrub the grout off the tiles. Okay, now I had a lot of excess on there, so I'm gonna be scrubbing a little extra. If you wipe off a little more when you're first doing the grout, you won't have to have at it so much. But it will come off all the tiles. You can polish these right up, and the grout comes right off of there. Okay, so it takes a little time when you don't wipe it off as much to begin with. It'll take a little extra time to get it all cleaned up, but you can go ahead and polish it off, and then you can give it a wipe, and you'll see you'll get those nice bright colors popping through, and you can really just kind of work at any of the grout that's in the way there. You could work at it. The final thing you can do with these sun plaques is you can also scrub these side edges where the grout goes onto the flames. And that will start to expose that wood back for you. So as you kind of scrub it off there, you'll see the wood coming back up through there. Now you could leave them white. If you don't want to scrub it off, you can leave them white so they have that finished white look, or you could scrub it down to the wood, and then you can use that paint in the kit, the orange paint in the kit. You're going to want to rehydrate this because it's very dehydrated. But what you would do is just dip that paintbrush in some water, Dip the paintbrush in some water. Go ahead and bring some water into the paint. You're going to do this a few times until it's rehydrated. Okay, so once it has a consistency where it looks like it can be smoothly applied. Okay, and then you're going to take a little bit of your paint and you can go ahead and paint those side edges. So if you want to, you can paint those edges where the wood is and get that finish on there. Okay, and if you don't want to do this, no big deal. You could leave it white, you could leave it plain. It's really up to you. That's a little finishing step there to get those borders done. All right, so that's your basics on how to grout. My favorite part about this project is a lot of people ask afterwards, like, is this how easy it is? Can I do my bathroom? Yes, this is how easy it is. You could do your bathroom if you want. It's a much bigger surface, so it's a lot more work, but that's all it is. Smush it in, rub it down, wipe off the excess, let it dry, scrub it down with the scrubber brush, and then polish it off, and you're all set to go. All right, so have fun, happy crafting, and we'll see you next time.